All right, welcome back. I am, of course, Tony Toon. I am the great and glorious Walrus.
And welcome back again. I am Leanne Palmer, your sparkly, glittery fairy.
All right.
So, Tony, you wanted to talk about the launch of the Trump 2020 campaign.
Yes.
The official launch of the Trump 2020 campaign.
Yes, down in Orlando a couple days ago. I'll obviously be voting for Trump, barring some major catastrophe, like it comes out and he's a pedophile or something, which I don't think it's going to happen. But yes, I'll be voting for Trump in 2020. I was very pleased with the launch. It kind of was like we were talking about in the last video when we were talking about the Dems in 2020. I wasn't quite as confident as I was in 2016, but after watching that rally and seeing that he got a 20,000 people venue full in Florida, I was like, okay.
Well, it wasn't just the venue itself that was full. They had to construct
Yes.
screens outside for everybody that couldn't get inside the venue.
Yes. I thought he did a good job keeping on point, talking about the Democrat extremism. No matter what he does this election cycle, as long as he keeps the focus on people that the Democrats have propped up unintentionally or intentionally, such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Ilhan Omar, and even Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and keeps pointing to their left-wing extremism, we'll be fine. He'll win in 2020. I was reading some things about the Eternal campaign. They're really thinking they might be able to flip Virginia this time because of the Ralph Northam situation. And we flip Virginia, then we can lose Wisconsin or Michigan, and it won't matter. I know some people are afraid about Texas. Texas isn't going to flip, at least not for a while. But I thought he did a good job keeping on the points about immigration, pointing to left-wing extremism. He talked about online censorship, which I really liked. As an aside, Trump should not be supporting that flag burning amendment. I disavow that, where he wants to make it illegal to burn the flag.
Well, I think you and I talked about that, and that has already been decided. The Supreme Court ruled in the 60s...
60s, 70s,
70s, right, late 60s, early 70s, that burning the U.S. flag
is free speech.
And to make a law forbidding the burning of the flag will go against the constitutional right to free speech. Yes. So, in my mind, that topic is done.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is free speech. So, number one, if you buy the flag, it's your personal property. You can do what you want with it. Number two, it's obviously a expressive act. It should be covered under the First Amendment. I do not like him coming out in support of this new law or amendment or resolution or whatever it is to illegalize the burning of the American flag. It gives people on the other. Number one, it's against the principles of free speech. Number two, it gives people ammunition on the other side who are kind of for tech censorship to say, see, Trump isn't really serious. He's just posturing, And so hopefully he backs down on that position, or it never comes to fruition. Just never comes to fruition. As an aside, every time I'm about ready to forgive Candace Owens for bully Hunter, she pulled something stupid. I'm I'm not going to get into Bully Hunter. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I thought it was pretty funny when the crowd, basically unprovoked by Trump, started chanting CNN sucks.
I didn't actually watch the rally. I will be honest. I was playing Escape Real Life and Escape the World and watching creepy YouTube videos. While I made Baby Hat and totally forgot that the Trump rally was on, even though I had wanted to see it to see kind of what he was saying and what happened.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny the next morning, though, where all of the polls have already put him up against potential Democrat candidates.
Yes, and he's losing every single one.
And he's losing to a lot of them. Biden, Sanders, Warren. There was one other one that he had a substantial difference with, and I can't remember what it was. But we all know, whether you support Trump or you don't support Trump, that the last election proved that they can get whatever results they want from the polls.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only going to show you the polls that have the results they want.
Yes.
So I thought that was really funny that even Fox was showing that, hey, our Fox News poll says this. And I'm like, right, I'm not even going to pay attention to that. And what was even funnier is as they're talking about these polls, Fox News was talking about their own Fox News polls that show that, like, he's, like, 10 points behind Biden and 9 points behind Sanders and all this other stuff. That the other person, there was two of them that were anchoring the morning show, and the one was talking about it, and the other one says, yeah, but we know where the polls put us in 2016, and these polls aren't, can't really be taken as accurately as we would like them to be.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny that Fox News put out these polls, and their own news person says, well, let's talk about this for a minute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what a lot of people don't realize. The poll may actually be accurate, but it's about whether people are going to go vote. That's one thing. And yes, the polls are probably biased. In fact, they are.
Well, okay, so the numbers are accurate. I'm not discounting that, but it's all in how they word the questions.
Oh, yes.
And also, one of the things that comes up is that, like, especially, like, one of the things that came up that I was watching on the news was the question of, like, the Teamsters. So, like, the Teamsters poll. And they poll and ask which candidate you're going to vote for. Well, if Teamsters is backing one candidate, you're not going to tell them on the phone, if you're a Teamsters union member, that you're voting for the other candidate.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's because, right or wrong, proven or not, there's the
fear of retaliation.
The fear of backlash and the possibility of backlash.
Yeah.
And so it really scares, what they were saying is that it can scare a lot of people who are voting for one candidate or the other to not say who they're really voting for.
Yes.
So based on the questions, the numbers can be accurate. But I also, based on who's doing the poll, I think the numbers are inaccurate because you don't get a full sample of who's going to be voting.
Yeah. And plus you have people like, I was talking to my dad the other day, and he said, if he ever got polled, he'd tell him he'd voting against Trump just to fuck with him. Now, I honestly think a lot of that's going on. I really do. And on the unions thing, Trump has received a lot of unofficial support from the unions.
Right. That was an example because that's the one that came up on the news show that I was watching.
Yes. I also saw there was pretty funny that while the media was just ripping Sarah Sanders because she stepped down as press secretary, she got the biggest cheer of the night when Trump introduced her and the crowd started chanting for her. I thought she did a pretty good job as press secretary because those people are savages, and quite frankly, a lot of them need to be put in their place.
They have been brutal with this administration.
Oh, yes.
Like they have not been with any administration in a very, very long time.
Some people say they were this bad with Reagan. I don't think they were this bad with Reagan.
It's possible. I remember Reagan getting beat up really bad when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching some of that, and I remember them being, just brutal with him. Now, was it as brutal as they're being with Trump? Maybe. Maybe not. But I remember the press was super brutal on the Reagan administration and his trickle-down economics and some of the things that were going on in his administration. Because you have to remember, not only did he introduce the idea of trickle-down economics and start giving the big corporations tax breaks that were supposed to trickle down and then help the bottom employees come up.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also the Iran-Contra scandal that came up during his term and several other things that happened, and the press beat that administration up.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the first things, because I was a teenager during all of that, and it's one of the first introductions into politics that I got was watching the Reagan administration. Mm-hmm. And the 84 election and the 88 elections. And yeah, they were pretty brutal with the Reagan administration. Now, I wouldn't know how to compare that to the brutality that the Trump administration is seeing. Because there is no way. Because there's so many more press outlets and news outlets. There's no way to compare the two.
The 24 hour news cycle too doesn't help.
Right.
They gotta fill airtime, and quite frankly, Trump hates sells. But so does
hate sells.
Yeah.
Violence sells.
And that's just a problem with the media in general. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. I did think I thought it was a pretty good launch.
I'm pretty sure that everybody was expecting a launch because the incumbent president in his first term generally runs for a second term.
Yeah.
So we were all expecting it. No surprises.
Yeah. And another thing I want to add is it kind of took the air out of the room as far as the 24-hour news cycle. I haven't heard a lot about the Democrat candidates these last couple of days with everything that's been going on, obviously because of this Iran situation. But it just kind of goes to show that Trump still controls the media. And honestly, I think the fact that he filled that venue shell-shocked a lot of the Democrat candidates.
Yeah, well, because a lot of the Democratic candidates, as I've been watching campaign launches and campaign rallies and that sort of thing going on in Iowa,
they have empty halls.
They have, right, they're not full.
To be fair, it's Iowa. There's not a lot of people there anyway.
My eye roll that you didn't hear was that it's Iowa.
Yeah.
And it absolutely drives me nuts that their primary is in, or not their primary, because they don't have primaries, they have caucuses.
Yeah.
They're
always the first, and I don't like it.
Their caucuses are always held first. They're in January, and it was a couple elections ago, I think it was the second Obama election, where their caucus was held on January 2nd. Just to make sure that they were the first in the U.S. And I'm sorry if you're in Iowa and listening. I used to live in Nebraska. You're not that big a state. I mean, you cover a lot of land.
Yes.
And you are hugely important to our agricultural produce and manufacturing. But the only reason you're important to the campaigns is that your caucuses is first. And that's why you did it. And
I personally...
That was my unheard eye roll earlier.
Yeah. If it were up to me how the caucuses and the primaries would be done, one of the things I've thought about is you designate 5 regions of the country: the West Coast, East Coast, Great Lakes, the South, and the Midwest.
Okay.
And then you have basically everyone takes turn their region going first. So, say the 2020 election, the East Coast goes first. All the East Coast states first. Then, you have the South, Midwest, da-da-da. Then 2024, the South goes first, the Midwest, Great Lakes. It rotates.
Right.
I think that would be fair.
That would not only be fair, but I could also see if we wanted to do that, have the regions on the same day.
Yeah.
And have it like a regional holiday, because I think, I honestly think that the election days every 4 years, when we go into election for the presidential election and all of that an election day should be a national holiday.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but whenever I hear that argument, I can't help but think, like, it's your civic duty to vote. Okay, you had to work. I don't care. Get your ass. Go vote.
Right. Well, no, the problem with that is that a lot of employers don't allow
people to leave to go vote.
To go vote.
And
they don't allow to adjust working schedules to go vote, which is why I think it should be a national holiday.
Yeah.
So that if you do have to work, you are allowed an absentee ballot. Because, I'm sorry, just like Christmas, there are going to be businesses that have to be open.
Yes.
But you can be down to a skeleton crew because it's a holiday. And it would allow more people to vote. It would allow more people to participate in the political process. And I think it would generate more interest in the political process.
Mm-hmm. That could work. Well, I think if we're not careful, we'll ramble on for a little bit too long.
Yeah, we tend to do that.
Yeah. But yes, as I said, I was happy with the launch. Like, comment, subscribe to this video, and we'll see you next time.
Don't forget to hit the notification button so that you will be notified when we upload a new video, because we are doing that daily. Mm-hmm. So hit that notification button and be one of the first ones to know that it's there.
Yes. See you all next time.
See you all later.